Utkarsh. Everybody, welcome to the May 26th architecture meeting for Ortelius. We're just going to be going over what we've been doing for the XRPL grant and kind of do a quick walkthrough of what we've kind of come up with as a plan of attack for persisting the JSON information about application versions, component versions into the blockchain as NFTs. Looks like Utkarsh, who's been driving the coding, is getting reconnected here, so we'll wait for him to. Utkarsh, can you hear us?
Hello. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no
I was
worries.
not able to hear him. Now I can hear.
Excellent. So it's we're going to take a if you don't mind, we'd like to just do a quick walkthrough of what you've come up with from the blockchain perspective with pulling together the NFTs and the blockchain transactions.
Okay, sure. Let me share my screen. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with code itself. And before code, let's run this code once and see let's go through the logs once, and that will give us more idea about what is the code and what the code is doing.
All right, cool. And the code that you ended up using was Node.js, is that correct?
Yes, correct. So we did spend some time between two libraries, like Python libraries and Node.js libraries. But at the latest step, we found that a lot of application examples that are already there on web, and that could be useful to us. So that is where we decided to go with Node.js.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't like to reinvent stuff or struggle when things are already solved in a particular language.
Correct. We can invest that time to create something new, right?
My God, CA is buying VM.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the what are the packages, like architecture of the project. So basically, as you can see, there are two main folders here present. So there is one folder called NFT, and there is another folder that is SBOM Leisure. So NFT have all the methods that are needed to interact with NFTs. It will contain methods like how to retrieve CID, how to upload data to IPFS storage, and the configuration for that, obviously.
And a quick question on the IPF storage. Which one are we using at this point? Is it NFT.storage as the storage
Correct.
location?
Yes, correct. So this is the endpoint that we are using currently.
Cool.
Okay, so the second one, which is SBOM Leisure, so it has all the methods that we need to interact with Leisure, like creating a transaction, like uploading some metadata, and there are a couple of more methods that we need while we go. So we have only included the methods that we are that were relevant from the user story point of view. So there could be multiple methods that might be related for other products, but what we needed creating a connection to a ledger, making a transaction, uploading some metadata to a wallet. So therefore we have only included those methods here. Starting with the main method that we have written. So first we are loading some of the configuration here that we have set up in a setup.yaml. So that is very straightforward configuration, like Ripple endpoint and some of the other informations we have stored here. Apart from that, here we are instantiating the X API for Ripple API basically, so that we could leverage Ripple APIs in our application. Just a method to handle our error messages. And from here, our main method starts. So I'll skip few things that we have done just to beautify the logs or something. So here I'm using Figlet for Ortelius. That is not relevant to this demo. We are creating one wrapper, which is a build setting that will have all this information, like all the meta information. And since this was a POC, so I was also writing all those information to an output file. So the path to this input file and output file. And just to mention what we have done, so this is the JSON that is being generated by Ortelius. So this is the BOM file that is being generated by Ortelius. So we are using this BOM file as a example for us, and we are storing this um, on a IPFS storage and metadata, and we are making a transaction um, in a blockchain. So this is the objective that we have achieved using this POC.
Perfect.
Okay, let's go again to the main index file. Here we are doing some of the validations before writing to the file, since when we will use this POC to the actual implementation, like a lot of the code will get removed, because the source and sink will be different. So like from where we read some data would be an API endpoint or some other feed endpoints. So these will be removed. We are generating hashes for the file, and again we are leveraging a method that is written in our ledger. So this will generate a hash for the file that we have in the input folder.
And is that hash prior to IPFS, or is that a IPFS hash itself?
No, it's a prior to. So we haven't used IPFS yet.
Okay, got it.
Yes. Okay, so here we are making a connection, and okay, one second. Let me search this IPFS. Okay, here is IPFS, right? Yes, correct. IPFS is afterwards. So here we are fetching some of the information that we'll need, like what is our wallet address. So this will give us like what is the address that we want to make transaction to. And again, we are storing everything, every information in a wrapper class, that is build settings. So that everything is present in a object in a consolidated way. And I'm also writing that object in a file, so that I can, since that was a POC, so I could refer that to make any modification. Here we are uploading our data to IPFS storage. And what this method will return is a CID data. So CID is very important in a IPFS landscape, because this is the unique ID with which you can refer your NFT. So this is that ID that is being generated. I'm also printing that ID as a IPFS URL, so that if we want, we can access them via browser as well.
So a quick question on that.
Okay.
Shouldn't the hash be calculated right before you do the upload, since you've added data to the build settings.
Okay, so actually the what is being uploaded is the file, which is a static. So actually this build setting is not getting uploaded. So only that file is getting uploaded.
Oh, okay.
This
So
we have created.
upload is your utility function, Ukarsh, right? So is that is your routine?
Correct. So here
Okay.
in the beginning, I mentioned in the NFT folder, I have created a JS file, which is IPFS
Okay.
storage.
Okay.
So I'm referring to that.
Got it.
And after that, I'm just doing some logs. And okay, this is something important. So I don't know, like I looked at few of the examples. So they were creating some. So let's look at this method: upload XRPL wallet data. So why this is important? Because this is what is creating a transaction. So if you see like what is the method signature for this API, it takes wallet data, which is of any type, and wallet address and XAPI, the API connection for XRPL. So it's a good practice that we store our metadata. So whenever we see one transaction, we could see some metadata that is associated with that. So just to give a quick example here. Okay, so this was the account that I registered. Sample detailed. Yeah, in the detailed description, we can see a lot more information. So this is because of that methods, because we are wrapping all those information in that object, and that is why we are able to see a lot more metadata information. Because as we know, all our actual data resides in NFT, right? But what goes in the transaction in the ledger is some metadata and um, which is there. So
Got it.
yeah, so that is there, and we can see like the transaction was successful or not. You can see every data here. Okay, let me go back.
Is the CID for the NFT in that, or?
I think this should be.
But that's how it's linked, correct?
Yes, here we can see. This
Got
should
it.
be same.
Yeah, that's it. Cool.
Okay, so okay, that is why that was needed basically, and we can do like we can identify like what information we want to store in the transaction, what information we want to make visible to the audience, and basically we can write this method. And this is the method which is responsible for a transaction, and once the transaction is done, yes, so this is where the transaction, it shows the transaction is successful. Yep. So that is all the code walkthrough. Here I have printed a couple of information that you can go and visit, and you'll be able to see the transaction on this website.
Perfect. And can you see the can you browse the IPFS with the CID and see the data from that side, or is?
Yep, we can do that as well.
And how long does it take to do a transaction? Is it pretty fast, or is it like several minutes?
No, it's pretty fast. So as you saw, no, like when I triggered this index.js, so it was executing all these steps in the sequential manner. So it was like less than 1 minute.
Perfect.
It's like a couple seconds.
Yeah.
I should have printed. IPFS security hash. Okay, 1 second. Let me print the CID, or I can validate from here as well. This one is huge. This is getting blocked.
It doesn't want to let you have it,
I just want to copy the URL.
right?
So I have downloaded this client application. This is pretty helpful in that.
Well, that's why I was curious to be able to, browse the IPFS data.
I haven't seen this client before. This is nice. I'm gonna have to pull it down.
File connector could not connect to IPS API. Okay, something is off. Let me try in the browser itself.
Oh, there's somebody here.
The browser should give us the data. I think. Okay, here we can see the object. So basically, we would need that client to parse this object.
Okay, so it's just giving back raw data at this point. It doesn't know how to parse it.
Yeah.
So have you guys considered, Steve, and I'm sort of withholding some number of comments and questions because I don't necessarily have a certain level of background that makes me confident, but I am curious. So it looks like this object that we're storing on IPS is the SBOM, right? And
Yeah. In this POC example, we needed just a JSON file to store over an IPFS, and the SBOM is one of the JSON files that we can utilize. So in Ortelius, we actually have a JSON representation of an application version, and we have a JSON representation of a component version. And those also have, like, the component will have a relationship to an SBOM as well. So we have these nested JSON files, and that's one of the things we have to look at from an architecture point of view, is if we're going to have just one big JSON file with all of the relationships built into it, or if we do smaller JSON files and then cross-reference them that way over the IPFS, like CID levels.
Right. Okay. And did you consider? I don't know enough about it, but did y'all look at potentially just encoding those in the memo field?
They're too big.
Okay.
We did look at that, but I think, when we're looking at a couple 100K of data.
Yeah.
We could do it. Blockchain will support it, but it's not like a best practice to load up.
Yeah, not necessarily responsible usage of the chain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over
Exactly.
time. Yeah. And one of the reasons I ask is it would be great to have well, not great. It would be nice to have a standards-based renderable representation of what's stored on IPFS. Because of course, when you're issuing, say, an NFT around an image, right? You can use Pinata, also various marketplaces to render that. So where I was kind of going is can we store the Ortelius specific SBOM and data elsewhere so that it's only read through sort of an Ortelius reader? But then, is there a way to allow anybody to kind of get a standards-based representation of NFT, if that makes sense?
Yeah, and that's why we're just going with a JSON payload.
Okay, makes sense, right?
As what we're going to put into IPFS, and that is where we just need to make sure that that there's a way to render JSON from IPFS. We may have to create our own browser, like you said, of the of a JSON renderer for the NFT. But one of the problems that we have with IPFS is in putting everything over there is that it's not searchable. So one of the things that we'll need to do is to do a secondary process, and this is kind of where the grant comes into play. Being able to build out a way to search the JSON data over an IPFS.
Right. Okay.
And that's why I keep on asking you about like a Mongo implementation or another one.
Oh,
Rango
right.
DB.
Yeah.
Because IPFS is not necessarily the best place for us to put searchable data, documents. So we really need a document store. And I don't know if there's an immutable document store that would exist outside of IPFS that we can leverage without having to build one from scratch.
Right. Okay, that helps me understand better what we were talking about earlier in the week. I don't know offhand either, but of course, in the course of this engagement, I can help work to figure that out. Actually, one of our data team guys I'll be meeting with tomorrow morning, and I'll ask him about this, see if he has any pointers.
Yeah, so what we really need, and the reason why we chose IPFS for this POC was IPFS gives you an immutable file, basically. And that's one of the things that we want to be able to do with the blockchain and the NFT is create an immutable ledger. Now we could skip the IPFS and just load the stuff into a database, but we lose the immutability of it at that point. And I think the immutability is more important than the database. So one of the things I've looked at is doing a secondary process that would index the IPFS JSON documents that would make the searchability. And then you do a verification against the IPFS hash and the blockchain hash to make sure what you've indexed is still valid. So there's a secondary process that we can do for searching or creating an index off of the IPFS.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And there's a company I saw that has done that before. So I've seen their model around that, being able to do a secondary index on IPFS.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find that while Utkarsh was changing up the code to print out the SID. What was the name of that company?
For instance, I see Lens just on a gross Google IPFS search engine with Lens.
Yeah.
Art trade.
I can't remember. I found it at one point. And there's things like I think we can point Elasticsearch at it as a possibility. But Elasticsearch kind of runs into a few issues with licensing on that level. So they're not quite 100% open. There's a certain interpretations of like the Elastic Storage license that could be an issue.
Okay.
Oh, here it is. Let me drop it in the, I think this is the one, if I remember correctly. It's called the graph. So in the chat is the link.
Okay.
I think this is the one that they talked about the
Oh, nice. No, I had not seen this. This is interesting. This is oh, yeah, this is good to see. Okay. Yeah, and then Steve, it sounds like unless you find out performance becomes an issue, this is probably the preferred sort of decentralized solution to making the JSON content searchable, right? So I'm assuming that theoretically, oh, did I lose everybody? Oh, we lost Steve. The hotel room, Wi-Fi. There was something else. So Ukars, by the way, I'm looking, it's funny, I tweeted it. This afternoon, we have our DevRel team is holding a series of talks around NFTs and other contents. I don't know, Ukars, have you been participating in the Discord channel?
Discord channel for XRPL?
Yeah.
No, like I haven't got any information. Is there a Discord channel?
Yes, there's an XRPL Discord channel. If you go to xrpl.org, you can access it from there. And I'll pull specific details and look to send them to you before we wrap. But there they've posted the agenda and timing for a series of presentations around XRPL development and then specifically XLS20 or NFT. And the sad thing is I tweeted about it, but it was a lazy tweet, so I don't actually remember the details. So I'm gonna have to go look.
Sorry, guys, we lost our internet connection out of the hotel. But I was saying, Brian, on the graph link that I sent you, their model is something that we could implement and like load things based on that model, doing the indexing into a Mongo or an Arango DB, a docu store that we can then search at that level. So it's not, I don't think we're too far off on that front. Just was out of scope for POC.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then I was just explaining while you were gone, Steve, for Utkarsh, I am in the chat here, if I can find it. I'm going to give you the link to, unfortunately, it's a tweet from one of the Ledger developers, Yoke, but in that tweet, you'll see the link to the Discord channel and the information about the session that they are running at 12 p.m. Pacific today.
Okay.
And Utkarsh, and for Steve, I think based on what I understand of the content, I was kind of involved with initial planning of the content. There was likely useful information there for both of you.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to be doing my presentation at that time. So
Okay.
hopefully they record it and I can watch it later.
They already
Great.
changed the form. That's why I can't back into it.
All right. Hopefully, I didn't slow down your guys' review too much. I'm going to jump over to another meeting. Both from the Ortelius side and the Ripple side. The two hats I'm wearing. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see where this goes. Thanks, Ukarsh.
Yeah, awesome job, Ukarsh.
Thanks.
Again.
Actually, what we saw is like a smaller section of what we learned. So during the time of learning, we explored a lot of other terms and methods as well. So yeah, it was
Yeah,
amazing.
and I think, it's a huge landscape to learn around blockchain.
Correct.
And I think you nailed in exactly what we needed to focus on for what we're going to be doing with Ortelius and the NFTs and the blockchain. So nice job.
See if Ukarsh can do that.
Thanks.
Yeah, well done, of course. Well, you can take me for a lesson sometime.
Sure.
And would one of you guys be able to jump on that XRPL meeting or not? That's happening today?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Did
Okay.
you post it in the channel? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Twitter link in the chat,
It's on
in
Twitter.
a Zoom chat. Let me go push it over to Discord, or try to.
I need to have a Twitter account. I don't have a Twitter account. Ooh. Yeah, actually,
where they have shared.
I put it in the Discord channel. All right, everybody. I think that's should do it for today. Awesome job. And Ukarsh, were you able to figure out why you weren't able to see the IPFS, the object in IPFS, or is it just not a renderer over there?
No. Actually, the path was wrong. That actually I was passing the whole object. Basically, that should contain only the path for the file. So that was the error.
Okay, cool. All right, because that was one of Brian's question, was if you could see the through a browsing mechanism, if you could see the JSON without writing a special browser.
Yeah, let me fix it, and I'll just give you a ping, and then you can try it yourself.
Yeah, and if you could just do a quick screenshot and drop it in the Discord.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome job. I love it. Nice going. All right, guys, we're gonna run off to another meeting.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye.